Hello, everyone. When I had my first child, I was obsessed about how much food she was eating. Did she gain any weight? Every day, putting her on the infant scale and trying to understand what percentile of weight is she in. Why is my baby smaller than other babies? Comparing all the time. As she grew, my worry about her eating grew. I just assumed that she wasn't eating enough, she wouldn't be nourished, and she wouldn't thrive. This worry just kept me engulfed, and I did so many things that I wish I knew. So, if you are new on your parenting journey, learn from this mom. I have three kids now, and all of them are thriving very well, eating great, and I don't have to worry about anything. These are the things I did over the years and lessons that I learned about feeding our kids and eventually fostering a good relationship with food. So, first thing, obviously, I call it the gorilla mom method because one day I just came across this idea how a gorilla mom feeds her children. It just made so much sense. I started following that method and everything shifted. My entire paradigm shifted. I did not stress about food anymore. And here's what it is. Let's think about how we've seen most of the parents, including me, try to feed our kids. We'll first have them sit down and try to feed them as much as possible. Sometimes I've even noticed parents are yelling at their kids for not finishing the plates or having so much drama and tantrums in meal times, so much stress. But did you know how the gorilla mom feeds her kids? All she does is her food. Whatever scraps fall on the floor, that's what the kids eat. Now, think about it. When that happens, those kids are not being picky or trying to just eat a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Those kids are hungry and they are not really being fed on a platter with 52 different choices. All they have is scraps on the floor. They pick up the scraps, eat, and then go about doing their business. Now, I do not do the exact literal thing. I don't eat, throw food on the floor, and expect my kids to pick up the scraps. But the philosophy is what I follow, which means the first step that I do is whenever it's mealtime, I don't even bother, unless like my kids say that they are very hungry, I don't bother calling them to the eating table. I just sit down and eat first. Yes, probably the first mom in the history of the world who feeds herself first. Have you heard staff on airplanes say, put your mask on first? This is the same concept. You feed yourself first. Why? There are so many benefits. You're gonna not be hungry. You would have fed yourself. You are more calm. I do not function very well with hunger. So if I have fed myself, I'll have a lot more patience to deal with anything that comes along our way when it's time for eating. And the other benefit of eating first is that you are modeling the behavior. Everything that our children do is based on what we are doing. They worship the ground that we walk on. And if you are eating first, they are looking, they're absorbing all the time. And even if we think about it from the evolution perspective, it makes sense. If the child sees the parent eat something, they know it's not poisonous, they know it's not going to harm them, and they are more accepting of eating a variety of foods. So eat first. Your children will look at you. They will model the same behavior. You won't even have to teach them this manner or that manner. They'll just look at you and they'll know they're supposed to use their hands, forks, anything that goes in your family culture. We have a good mix of the Indian culture and using utensils, and I don't make a big deal about manners just yet. Kids have all their lives to learn manners. I'm just working on modeling good behavior, being kind to them and others, and manners will follow. So, this is the other thing that if you're adding too much rules and manners and everything to mealtime, you're adding more complexity to their eating experience and it can lead to frustration. We don't emphasize too much on manners, but of course, if it's getting too messy or sloppy, we will encourage our kids to eat in a certain way. But we are very comfortable using our hands. It's part of our culture, but also when it's more convenient, use forks or spoons and knives. Just do what you want to see as a culture in your home, and kids will develop a positive relationship with eating. Another thing that we did when my children were babies and we started solids was number one, No hurry, no rush starting solids. I have breastfed all my three babies. We've never used any formula, so I've been very blessed that I did not have to supplement and I could breastfeed them for as long as they needed. And especially, it gave me a lot of confidence that they are getting the nutrition that they need, so I don't need to push the solid foods. And as we started feeding them, we followed a method called baby led weaning, and I cannot recommend it enough, especially if your children are able to sit up properly by around 6, 7, even 8 months. And like I said again, I do not rush solids, so I'm not here sitting there and trying to feed them at 4 months old. No, their gut and digestive system is not ready yet. My baby just turned 8 months old. We started solids at 6 months because he was sitting up, he had neck control, and all we do is in front of him on a platter, we just put tiny soft foods that are safe, that will not choke them. So if it's blueberries, we'll cut them into quarters depending on the size, or give them sweet potato slices which have been steamed so it's soft and they can pick it up and hold it. There are so many benefits to feeding them this way. We don't use a spoon, we don't feed them mushes or purees, because this way they can see the food that they're eating and they understand what it is that is going in their mouths and their tummies. They are empowered to pick up that food and put it in their mouth. This is what they do. They have been seeing you pick up foods and put it in your mouth, so they automatically start doing that. Over a period of few months, their pincer grasp improves, their fine motor skills improve, they understand how gravity works. It's so funny, I still have videos of my daughter trying to eat a blueberry and she would put it in her mouth like that and it would fall right out. And then she figured out, gravity works this way, so I have to keep my chin up. I did not teach any of this to her. As a baby, she's figuring this out. I feel like all these activities were improving her confidence and her brain was developing so fast just from this simple act of letting them feed themselves. One time when she was about 18 months old, she was with me at my work and she's just chomping down these like florets of broccoli, and somebody stopped by. How in the hell do you have a baby eat broccoli? It's just like, I just give it to her. I just gave these foods to her and never fed her mushes or purees that are probably pre-prepared in food pouches and they taste like blah. I always focused on giving them fresh foods. If I'm not gonna eat it, they're not gonna enjoy it either. Having autonomy is the biggest key to eating well. If they are forced to eat something right from when they were babies, they're not going to have a good relationship with food. And then the next thing that I focused on was trusting that they come completely well equipped with their own cues. They have a very good self-regulatory system. We don't get to judge how much they eat. If I am not counting how many breaths they take in a day, I am not counting how many bites of food they are eating in a day. That's not my job. My only job as a parent is to fill up the house with good foods, and the kids will eat well and have a variety in front of them. This is the key. Autonomy, autonomy. If you can do it right from their baby days. And if you think that your child has become a picky eater, they are pretty old now, like 8, 10, 11 years old. First of all, stop calling them picky eaters. You have labeled them, and now this label is going to stay with them forever. I have a 36-year-old cousin and he still barely eats his meals on time because the only thing I remember my aunt say about him was, he doesn't eat anything, he doesn't eat anything, he's a picky eater. Now he has internalized this label. He will never be able to have a good relationship with food because he has been told a million times that he's a picky eater. So first of all, stop calling them picky eaters. Even if you think so, bite your words, please. And if you have labeled them, there are ways that you can repair this damage. Maybe you can have a conversation with someone else, and if they're listening, that would obviously be the best, where you tell them that, oh, I've seen a remarkable improvement in Bobby's eating, and he's been trying so many things and varieties that I've been shopping for more foods for him. Just slowly erode the labels that you've created, and they will have more confidence and the will to eat more variety and better foods. If they see you eating chips and cookies all the time, that's what they're going to want to eat. So that brings me to my next point, that in my household, I'm always trying a combination of easy, tasty, healthy meals, which means that they cannot take a long time to make. I don't have that much time to make gourmet meals. but they have to be very delicious and they have to be healthy. And the way I figured that out is, first, I believe that there's like a million or not, if not a billion recipes on the internet. There have to be this subset of recipes that are easy, tasty, and healthy. You figure out what is it that the flavors that your family likes, try to start substituting one at a time for healthier ingredients, fresher ingredients, and your family is going to start enjoying those meals. They will not complain if they are delicious and if you're making them healthy. Moms, dads alike, team up. If dads, you are good at searching or strategizing, you do that part, mom cooks, or the other way around. If dad, you are good at cooking, don't just leave it on the mom or the kids. This is a community effort that we all need to make. Have everybody on the same page. And don't be overwhelmed. Right now, if your house is full of junk foods, no problem. Just start one at a time and remove those junk foods, and your kids will thank you for creating this good relationship with food. Of course, if you've had a damaged relationship with food, you'll have to fix it first. Understand that easy, tasty, healthy can happen. Make small adjustment, little swaps here and there, and make better choices in the supermarket. You will bring healthier items in the home. Use community supported agriculture. Have fresh produce delivered to you from farms, or go pick up at local farms. The vegetables taste different when it's locally produced and it's fresh in the season. It just tastes so much better. When vegetables taste better, more people are going to eat them. You and your spouse will enjoy them more, and therefore your kids are going to enjoy them more. So understand that eating does not happen in a silo. A child does not decide or is not born with picky eating habits. We create them for the child. We call them picky eaters. We enable their bad eating, and then eventually they end up eating only mac and cheese. So it's a project that we have to work on for coming months, if not years. And slowly and surely, you change the environment, you change the child, you change yourself. So this is the secret to how we keep meal times very peaceful. Oh, also, I do not stress about what time they're eating because we're homeschooling, and that gives us this flexibility, because I've noticed that my daughter does not get hungry right after she wakes up. It usually takes her about 2 hours of playing, working on something, or sometimes we're doing schoolwork, and then about 9 or 10 a.m. she'll start to get hungry and have her first breakfast. Clearly, if she's had food at 10 a.m., she's not going to be hungry at noon. So lunch for us is around 1:30 p.m. Then we have a lot of activities in the evening, so she gets hungry quicker. So 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., she's happy to eat her last meal, and then bedtime is 8:30 p.m. So this is the schedule that works for us. Figure out what schedule works for you. If your kids go to school, you note all of this down during the summer break when they're with you, to understand what their natural circadian rhythm is, what time do they really get hungry. And for that experiment, I would highly encourage, as soon as the kids wake up naturally, you take them out in the sunlight, their circadian rhythm starts to fall back on a natural schedule. They will get tired around a time, and hopefully bedtime becomes more consistent and they wake up at the same time. That's when meal times are figured out, because first it's the sleep and then the hunger follows. So think about it as a holistic process. It's, again, the food process is not done in a silo, and a person does not eat in a silo. So think about environment, think about all the factors, and model. Everything comes down to, what are you doing? Your kids are going to follow. Oh, and last but not least, my pediatrician wanted to do a blood test for my 7-year-old. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm also curious how she's doing, like, internally. And the results came out fabulous. I did not have to worry about anything. And the doctor was also very impressed. She said, keep doing what you're doing. It's working out great. I do supplement certain things. We follow a plant-based diet. So we do B12, D3, and omega-3s. These three are absolutely non-negotiable for the whole family. I make sure everybody's getting enough. If you want to know which ones we take, I have researched a lot, and I get the cleanest ones that are third-party tested. So I'll leave the links in the description below. That way, if you want to order straight from there, you can do that. And if you guys want to see some extremely easy, tasty, healthy recipes from me, let me know or hype this video so I know that you need those recipes. And I'll try to make a separate video just with recipes that are totally kid approved, and we make them at least once a week, and they're very nourishing and delicious. Another thing I've noticed is most of the parents, when they're saying my kid doesn't eat anything, they haven't really measured anything. They have just assumed the worst and they have declared that their child doesn't eat anything. I will highly encourage you to, for 2 weeks, just note down in some journal how much your child is eating. There is a tool online called chronometer.com. Plug in those values over there. It takes a little bit of getting used to, so I can show you how I use it. Plug in those values in chronometer, and you will notice that even if you have a toddler, you note down what they're eating for, say, 2 weeks. Put all the values in chronometer. You will be surprised that they are meeting most of the times their calorie and nutrition goals, of course, depending on what you're feeding them. I was very surprised. I literally thought that my child is getting 1/4 of her calories, but every day when I noted it down, she was exceeding them. This reinforced to me to trust that her body will get what it needs. Everybody wants to survive, everybody wants to thrive and do good for themselves. If you start with this mantra in your head, you will not assume that your child doesn't want to eat. If things have gotten really bad because of all the nagging or all the labeling, the damage can be repaired. Just understand that you should collect some data like this before labeling your children, before saying that they are picky and they don't eat anything. The other day, we had some friends over and they showed how skinny their child was and made the child lift up their shirt and show us how skinny the child was. And I was just horrified because one, the child did not want to lift up his shirt, and two, just labeling them picky eaters plus skinny will just stamp this in their heads their whole life, and they will have this identity. How about we let them be and not have this kind of talk in front of our kids, whether they're skinny or overweight? All we can do is change the environment, and changes will happen. All we can do is guide them towards a path where they are able to be strong and their bodies are functioning well athletically. The one thing that I mentioned to my kids is that we want a strong base and fundamental for athletic movement. That also dictates how well kids are going to eat. So as soon as they turned 3 years old, I started gymnastics classes for them. My daughter took to it. She's very strong now. She's 8.5. So from 3.5 to 8.5, about 5 years, give or take, she's been doing gymnastics, and her balance and body control is so incredible. Core strength. My son wasn't very interested. I started with him at 3 years old. He would just sit out in every class and wouldn't want to do the whole class. So I was like, okay, cool, just take a break. And anytime this happens, I call it my 1 year break rule. I just pull them out of the class and wait for another year and see if they want to go in. He still sometimes resists, but as soon as he goes to his class, he has fun. He never sits out anymore. And I'm noticing that his mobility, strength, and core strength is improving. And this is something I have told him. If he was left to his own devices, he would want to stay home, and that's totally fine. But there is some amount of basic physical activity that every child needs to do and hopefully do at a certain level. So I've told him that you can choose whatever activity you want, but till then, we are doing one class a week. It's 1 hour a week to give you strong fundamentals, and then you can choose anything on top of that. And if you have something else that is taking over more time, we can always drop gymnastics, but we not do any physical sports. So he agreed to that, and he's been going to the class because his sister goes to the same class, and they've been having a blast. And with all of that gymnastics, their body's strength and structure is becoming solid. And of course, that changes their appetite. If there is a good soccer class or soccer program or a tennis program in your neighborhood where coaches are focusing on warm ups, body strength, balance, and other drills, then that's enough to. I just find that the movements in gymnastics are so good for every single sport. When they were doing skiing, the instructor already knew that these kids must be doing something challenging like gymnastics because they saw that the balance was there, the body awareness was there at a very young age. So I would highly recommend something that challenges their lower body, their upper body, and their appetite and food habits will change as well.